Discover the incredible resilience of Londoners. 10 life-changing lessons from brutal Victorian hardship. The storm raged outside, but Sarah's heart was a tempest of its own. Living in her family's bakery in the heart of Boston felt like carrying the weight of an anvil on her shoulders. The scent of fresh bread and pastries wafted through the old wooden door, sweet and inviting as it had been for generations. Yet, for Sarah, this legacy felt more like a prison. Baking was her family's bloodline. Her mother, grandmother, and even her great-great-grandmother had fought through wooden slypeps and flour clouds to keep it thriving. But as Sarah glanced out the window at her changing neighborhood, the thrill of innovation and the weariness of tradition battled within her. She longed to create unique recipes, to step beyond the shadow of her ancestors, yet she feared the repercussions. If yesterday's recipes had stood the test of time, was she allowed to change the flavor? One stormy evening, feeling utterly defeated, she rummaged through her grandmother's attic. Cobwebs caught in her hair as she found an old leather-bound journal. It beaconed like a lighthouse amidst the debris. As she opened the ink-smeared pages, Sarah was pulled into the tempest of Victorian London, a world of resilience and struggle, where her great-great-grandmother thrived amidst adversity. Page after page, Sarah soaked up tales of survival, connections forged in hardship. Stories of neighbors banding together during the Great Famine touched her heart, illuminating the importance of community and cooperation. Each lesson rekindled her hope. Hard work, dignity, and altruism vibrated through her very being. Could she not blend this wisdom with her own ideas? But just as she felt galvanized by her grandmother's indomitable spirit, the looming shadow of reality crept back in. A notice taped to the bakery door declared an impending rent hike, one that could shatter their family legacy. Panic clutched her chest like a vice. For too long, she had felt disillusioned. Now she was furious. This was not just business. It was family, identity, and a space meant to uplift the community, not stifle it. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Determined, Sarah called a neighborhood bake sale, hoping to spark the community's love for the bakery anew. As people congregated, chatter echoed in the air. But so did whispers of class divides and hidden prejudices. The crowd, initially friendly, grew tense as her passion boiled over. This bakery isn't just a shop, Sarah declared, her voice breaking. It's a home. It's ours. The confrontation stirred a wave of emotions. She glimpsed anger, empathy, and recognition. As she shared stories from the journal, vulnerability seeped into the space. Her great-great-grandmother's tales of kindness during hardship resonated. Hope flickered in their eyes. Perhaps they could unite. With every word, Sarah felt the tides changing. Would her bakery survive? Or would it be lost to the relentless march of gentrification? As uncertainty churned within her, support began to swell, igniting a fire that could either save her family's legacy or consume her with the weight of expectations. As the last notes of her speech hung in the air, a hush fell over the crowd. Sarah's heart raced. She scanned the faces before her, searching for signs of understanding or dissent. Those who had once stood as mere spectators now looked like part of a bigger story, waiting to be written together. A tall man with graying hair stepped forward, his hands trembling slightly. "You're right," he called out, his voice shaky but firm. "This bakery has fed our families for decades. We can't let it be pushed out. We must rally behind it." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd like a wave. Yet, someone else shouted, "Sarah's not just fighting for bread. She's fighting for us." The encouragement swelled her chest with pride, each clapping hand becoming a steady beat, propelling her forward. Suddenly, she felt the burden of existential worry start to lift. Inspired, she began brainstorming ideas for their future. "What if we start a community fund?" she suggested, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. "We could hold monthly events, where everyone contributes a little money, time, or supplies. Together, we can sustain the bakery, and perhaps even create something more a community space." A woman with bright red hair chimed in enthusiastically, "And we can host workshops. We all have skills to share: sewing, gardening, writing. Imagine the possibilities." The group buzzed with excitement. As Sarah looked around, hope glimmered in their eyes like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. This bakery was not only her family's legacy. It was now a beacon of what they could accomplish together. In the days that followed, the energy propelled the efforts. They painted signs with slogans of unity, baked goods transformed into funds, and dance halls were turned into makeshift classrooms. Each gathering brought in new faces, all eager to support the cause. Sarah became a familiar figure, rallying the neighborhood with a fierce resolve. Yet, amidst the joy of progress, Sarah faced her own internal storm. Deep down, the pressure loomed over her. How could she balance the weight of tradition while forging boldly ahead? Whenever her hands needed dough, she could feel generations behind her, whispering questions and judgments. Were her ideas enough? Would they appreciate what she mixed in with their beloved recipes? Then one evening, as she closed up shop, the journal appeared in her mind like an old friend. She went back to the attic and flipped through pages of her ancestors' trials and triumphs, hoping for clarity. Drawing courage from her great-great-grandmother's stories of perseverance, Sarah recognized she didn't have to banish the past but rather weave it into the present. With lessons in community, resilience, and sacrifice resonating deeply, Sarah resolved to bake a new creation for the next event. It had to reflect their journey, a combination of her family's recipes infused with her modern flair. She could create a bridge between the old and new, and as she began to experiment with ingredients, confidence mixed into every rise of the dough. What would she discover in this new recipe? What flavors awaited to be shared with a community united? But just as Sarah felt ready to unveil her creation, an unexpected figure appeared at the bakery's door, one that threatened to unravel everything she fought for. Would they stand together, or would the storm wash away their dreams? The figure at the door stood tall and imposing, casting a shadow that fell across the warm glow of the bakery. Sarah felt her heart drop as she recognized the sharp silhouette of Harold, the owner of the building. His expression, a mixture of determination and authority, sent a chill through her. This was no social visit. He was a man with a mission. "Sarah," he called, his voice firm, "we need to talk." The crowd around her fell silent. Whispers turned into anxious glances and clenched fists. This confrontation had the power to shift everything. Here they were, a vibrant community slowly rising, and now an agent of potentially devastating change had appeared. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward, channeling the strength she gleaned from her family's history. "What is it, Harold?" she asked, trying to maintain her composure even as her instincts screamed alarms that he shifted his weight, the tension palpable. "I need to discuss the terms of your lease. The landlord wants to sell the property. I can't hold them off forever. They've already begun talks with potential buyers." Gasps echoed through the bakery. Sarah felt her stomach tighten. It was as if the very air around her had grown heavy with the weight of this news. She thought of all the effort the community had poured into saving this place, how it had become a sanctuary, a home. "What does that mean?" A voice from the back called out. "Are we losing the bakery?" Harold's gaze turned sympathetic but resolute. "Unless anyone can come up with the funds to buy this place, you'll have to vacate when the sale goes through." "I wish I could do more, but this isn't just about me." Anger surged within Sarah's chest. "Is it just about money then?" she challenged, her voice rising above the murmurs. "This bakery is more than just bricks and mortar. It's our community. Our lives are tied to this place." Harold opened his mouth, hesitating before speaking again. "I know. I respect what you're doing here, but business is business. I can only give you a few weeks. Consider it a generous warning." Before anyone could respond, he turned and walked away, leaving a flurry of emotions in his wake. Disbelief, fear, and anger filled the room. but beneath it all lay a growing strength. As Sarah looked around, she saw the faces of her neighbors hardened in resolve. They wouldn't let this happen. We can't let the bakery go without a fight, she announced, her voice steady as the sentiment echoed into the heart of the space. We need to form a committee, start fundraising. We can't just stand by. The crowd began to rally. Each person rose, arms raised high, catching the spark of that buried hope ignited by Sarah's words. Ideas began pouring forth. Someone suggested crowdfunding online. Another proposed bake sales, even yard sales. The plans didn't just fill the air. They set a fire beneath them, binding them all together in purpose. But as the excitement swelled, Sarah felt her earlier confidence waver. How could they possibly gather enough money in such short time? Her heart raced with fear as a new pressure burdened her shoulders. Was she ready for this? Was she capable of leading a fight that seemed insurmountable? As she returned to her workbench, kneading the dough for her new creation, another idea began to form, bold, fantastical, yet tinged with the urgency of their situation. What if they combined a large community event, their skills and fundraising efforts into one massive celebration of their legacy? But just as resolve filled her heart anew, a voice interrupted her thoughts. What if we could get the whole neighborhood involved? What if we turned this into a festival? Sarah's mind raced with the prospects, but deep down, fear lingered. The shadow of Harold's warning loomed ever closer. Could they bring enough people together in time? Would they stand tall against the tide of adversity? Her hands worked fervently, shaping dough, adrenaline coursing through her. This was her moment. She had to confront the storm head-on. But in a matter of weeks, would the bakery still stand? What more awaited them as they fought for their home? With the morning sun filtering through the bakery's window, Sarah's determination solidified. The aroma of fresh bread filled the air, a reminder of what they were fighting to keep. She could feel a new sense of urgency building within her, an energy that rippled through the space as her neighbors began to organize. Okay, everybody, she called out, gathering their attention again. Let's brainstorm ideas for this festival. What do we need? We'll need volunteers, food stalls, entertainment. Anything we can think of. Hands shot up in the air, faces brightening as suggestions flew. A local band could play live music, a community art project could attract families, and someone even suggested a pie-eating contest. The chatter became a symphony, each idea adding layers to the growing plan. Sarah's heart swelled with pride. Here they were fighting for something they all cherished. Let South meet at the park tomorrow, she instructed. We can divide tasks and make a timeline. Time is short, but if we all pitch in, we can do this. The energy in the room shifted as people began to nod, a silent agreement passing between them. The sound of busy hands and laughter echoed in the bakery, and for a moment, Sarah felt a surge of hope. But then doubt slinked in again. What if they couldn't raise enough money? What if no one showed up? The weight of responsibility sat heavy, but she refused to let it crush her spirit. After the last of the crowd trickled out, Sarah stayed behind, turning her attention back to the dough. She kneaded with determination, each push and fold infused with the hope of her community. The rhythmic sound of kneading along with the gentle chime from the baking oven became her solace. It was then that an elderly woman, Mrs. Thompson, walked in. She looked around, her eyes soaking in the familiar surroundings with a wistful smile. You've put your heart into this place. Haven to you, dear? Sarah paused, wiping her flour-dusted hands on her apron. I'm trying to save it. We're all trying. The woman's gaze softened. This bakery has always been our lifeline. When I first moved here, your grandmother was the one who welcomed me with a warm pastry. It became my home away from home. Sarah swallowed hard, the weight of her grandmother's legacy heavy in her heart. I want to keep that spirit alive. Not just for us, but for everyone who's come through these doors. Mrs. Thompson placed a gnarled hand on Sarah's shoulder. Don't underestimate the power of community. Show them your heart, and they'll rally around you. It's about more than just money, it's about connection. With those words, her mind sparked. What if Mrs. Thompson was right? Perhaps the festival could serve as more than just a fundraiser. It could be a celebration, a gathering that reminded people of the love tied into the bakery's history. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," Sarah said, her heart lifting again. "We can make this a festival of memories." 2. As Sarah closed up the bakery that evening, she felt the first inkling of real hope. It wasn't just about saving the bricks and mortar, it was about saving the very essence of what the bakery represented. Yet as night enveloped the town, shadows crept into her mind again. Would they truly pull this off? And what if Harold came back before they had a chance to solidify their plans? The looming deadline felt heavier than ever. Sarah took a breath, resolved to face the fight ahead. The festival was going to be more than just a chance to raise funds. It would be a movement, a declaration of their spirit. "Tomorrow I'll know," she promised herself as she flicked off the bakery lights, stepping out into the warming twilight. "Tomorrow I'll see how strong our bonds really are." But as she turned the corner, a figure stood silhouetted against the streetlight, one she recognized all too well. Would Harold show his face again so soon? The looming question hung in the air, like the last breath before a storm. The figure stepped forward into the glow of the streetlight, casting a long shadow against the pavement. Sarah's heart raced. It was Harold, and that familiar mix of dread and resolve boiled in her stomach. "Sarah," he said, a hint of surprise in his voice. "I didn't expect to find you here. What do you want, Harold?" She crossed her arms, trying to project strength despite the flutter of nerves. "I wanted to talk," he replied, hands raised in mock surrender. "I heard you're planning a festival." "Yeah," she replied defiantly. "We're trying to save the bakery." "What is it to you?" A wry smile broke on his face. "You think a little festival will change anything? It's just a band-aid on a bigger problem." "Maybe," she shot back. "But it's a start. People care about this place. We're fighting for something real." Harold's expression hardened. "You need more than hope, Sarah. You need money, real investment. And I can help with that if you'd let me." The tension crackled in the air between them. Part of her wanted to push him away, to remind him of his past actions that had hurt so many. But another part wondered if help from him could pull them through. "No," she blurted out, her voice strong. "We'll do this ourselves. We've got a plan and we're gonna stick to it. No handouts from you." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Think carefully. If you go down this road alone, it might end badly. I have resources. You may find that you'll need me before this is over." Sarah took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "And what price would you want in return? It wouldn't just be money, would it?" He hesitated, the smirk fading slightly. "I'm not like that anymore, Sarah. Things change. I've changed." "Changed?" Her voice cracked slightly. "You burned bridges, Harold. I don't know if I can trust you again." He shook his head, frustration pinching at his expression. "This isn't about me. It's about the bakery. I want it to succeed. I grew up here too, you know." "Yeah, but you chose to walk away," she said, her heart pounding. "A little too late to remember that, don't you think?" His eyes softened for a moment, revealing something deeper beneath the hardened surface. "I made mistakes, but I'm willing to make amends. All I'm asking for is a chance to help." For a fleeting second, Sarah's resolve faltered. Could he really change? Or was this just another manipulation? As she swallowed the uncertainty, a horn blared in the distance, jarring her thoughts back to reality. "We're going to do this without you, Harold. We'll keep this bakery alive, even if it kills me." Something flickered behind Harold's eyes, hurt, maybe regret. Then he stepped back, arms crossed again, a wall forming around him. "Just keep in mind what I said. This could get messy. You might regret not taking my offer." She turned away, marching down the street, determined to push past him. The festival was hers to run, and she wouldn't let him steal that joy, not again. But as she walked, the echoes of his words lingered, prickling at the edges of her resolve. What if he was right? What if something terrible happened before they could salvage what they cherished? The next day would require courage. Her community would need her every ounce of strength. Yet doubt creeped in, unsettling her thoughts. As night began to cast its final shadows, she found herself gazing back toward the bakery, her heart aching with both hope and trepidation. What if this festival turned out to be a disaster instead of the celebration they envisioned? With the cool night air nipping at her, Sarah took a deep breath, each inhale blending the scent of her bakery with the uncertainty that loomed. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her from her worries. She glanced at the screen. It was a message from Mrs. Thompson. "Sarah, quick! We have an idea that changes everything." Hope sparked anew, but what could it be? The tension in her chest wound tighter as she felt fate spinning yet again. Would this idea be enough to carry them through the storm? Would it be their salvation, or lead them further into chaos? Sarah's fingers trembled slightly as she read the message again. "We have an idea that changes everything." The words danced in her mind, agitating her mixture of hope and apprehension. Without wasting another second, she typed back, "What is it? I'm on my way." The walk to Mrs. Thompson's house felt like an eternity. Her heart raced, churning with the endless possibilities of what this idea could be. Was it a new fundraising method? An innovative way to rally the community? Her thoughts were a whirlpool of excitement and trepidation. When she finally reached the small, white-framed house, she found Mrs. Thompson waiting on the porch, her expression alight with fervor. "You won't believe what we've come up with," she exclaimed, ushering Sarah inside. "Tell me everything," Sarah urged, sitting down in the cozy living room filled with the sweet aroma of fresh cookies that Mrs. Thompson leaned in, eyes sparking with enthusiasm. "What if we created a competition at the festival? Not just any competition, but a baking contest. We can invite the whole town to bring their best recipes. It'll not only draw attention but engagement. Think about it. The bakery will be at the center of it all." Sarah's mind raced. A baking competition could elevate their festival in more ways than one. It would bring people together, spark creativity, and celebrate the community's rich traditions. "That's brilliant," she said, the joy bubbling within her. "We could have different categories: best pie, best bread, even a kids' section." Mrs. Thompson nodded vigorously. "Exactly. And we could encourage local businesses to sponsor prizes. It's a win-win. Plus, we get the media interested, and that might even attract more attendees." The vision of the festival blossomed in Sarah's mind. Children giggling as they decorated cupcakes, families battling for the title of Best Baker, and the warmth of the community coming together. But then, a wave of doubt washed over her. Can we really pull it off? It's a lot to organize in such a short time. Mrs. Thompson placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've faced challenges before, Sarah. This is our moment to shine. Let us rally the town, spread the word. You'll see how much they care." Her heart swelled at Mrs. Thompson's encouragement. She could almost hear the laughter, the clapping, the joy reverberating around the bakery. But a tiny voice in the back of her mind whispered concerns. What if they failed? What if it all fell apart, dashing the hopes of everyone involved? "Let us gather the others," Sarah said, her voice firming. "We can't do this alone. If we can get everyone on board, the competition could really work." Just as they began to brainstorm and make a list of everyone they needed to see, Sarah's phone buzzed again. It was a text from Harold. "Thought you might want to reconsider my offer. I know how to make this festival a success." Her heart sunk. She glanced at Mrs. Thompson, whose brow furrowed in concern as she read over Sarah's shoulder. "Don't even think about it, Sarah." The decision tangled in her mind. Did she really want to consult with Harold? Could wanting to save the bakery cause more trouble than it was worth? Desperate for clarity, she stood up. "Let us call a meeting. I want everyone involved. And I'll face Harold, too. I need to be sure of what I want." As she moved toward the door, a resolve surged through her. She would take control, and in a few days they would show everyone what it truly meant to fight for the bakery. But deep inside, questions loomed heavy. Could they pull this off without compromising their values? Would their community rise up in solidarity, or would doubt poison their plans? And as the door clicked shut behind her, a gust of wind rustled through the trees, leaving Sarah at the brink of so many possibilities. What would happen next with Harold lurking in the shadows of their ambitious dreams? The morning sun peeked through the leaves, casting dappled light on the ground as Sarah walked briskly down the street, her mind buzzing with ideas. She could almost feel the festival's energy as she envisioned families laughing, the smell of fresh baked goods wafting through the air, and a sense of unity that had been missing for too long. As she arrived at the community center, she noticed a small crowd gathered outside. Old friends exchanged warm greetings, while kids darted around, giggling. Sarah smiled, feeling a flicker of hope in her chest. She stepped inside, her heart pounding with determination, and found a table filled with familiar faces. "Sarah," called out Mike, the local mechanic, flashing a wide grin as he raised a donut in salute. "I heard about the competition idea. Count me in." "Me too," chimed Clara, a mother of 3 who always looked for ways to engage her kids in the community. "I'll gather my neighbors. Everyone's been looking for something fun." A wave of excitement rippled through the room. Notifications buzzed as phones lit up with more people replying to the group text Sarah had sent. It was a flicker of community spirit igniting, and she felt warmth spread through her as she saw the faces light up with possibility. "All right, let us get this party started," Sarah said, taking a deep breath and raising her hands for attention. "I know it's short notice, but I can feel it. This baking competition can be our moment to come together." The room buzzed with ideas. Plans flowed as they debated categories, rules, and prize sponsorships. Sarah was swept into the excitement, each voice blending until it felt like a choir of hope. They discussed prizes, set a tentative date, and even imagined the decorations that would transform the center into a festive haven. As the meeting drew to a close, Sarah felt exhilarated, but that familiar doubt lingered. She glanced at her phone, expecting another message from Harold. Would he try to disrupt their plans? Would the town truly rally around their shared vision or simply return to apathy? Suddenly, Mrs. Thompson caught her gaze and pulled her aside. "You've got to be careful, Sarah. Harold's not just a businessman. He's not afraid to use underhanded tactics." "I know," Sarah sighed, "but I can't let fear control us. We're building this for the community, and I believe in their spirit." Mrs. Thompson nodded, though her eyes betrayed her concern. "Just keep your guard up. We need to show them what's possible, not what's easy." As they exited the center, Sarah felt a renewed focus. The festival was more than just a celebration of baking. It was a testament to their resilience. They were all in this together. Later that evening, while flipping through her notebook filled with festival notes, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Harold. The boldness in his voice made her heart race. "Let us meet, Sarah. I have an offer you can't refuse. Something that'll make your festival bigger and better." She hesitated. How could she balance achieving their dreams with the risk that came with Harold's influence? Why not hear him out? She thought, uncertainty creeping in, mingling with her stubborn resolve. But could she really trust him? As she stared at her reflection in the window, she knew this was just the beginning. With every moment weighted with possibilities, she steeled herself for what lay ahead. What could Harold possibly offer? Would accepting his help mean selling out? Or could it be the lifeline they desperately needed? The next day dawned with a sky painted in soft pastel hues. Sarah's stomach fluttered nervously as she prepared for her meeting with Harold. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple yet polished outfit that mirrored her resolve. Every brushstroke of mascara and knot in her hair felt like a step toward the important conversation she was about to have. Arriving at the cafe, the scent of coffee and baked goods greeted her. The place was bustling with chatter, but her focus was solely on Harold. He arrived a moment later, his presence filling the space. He had a way of commanding attention, even in a room full of people. As he approached, Sarah felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. "Thanks for meeting with me," he said, his voice smooth, almost charming. "I know you're passionate about the festival, and I'm sure there's a way we can make it even more successful together." "Right, the festival," Sarah replied, her heart racing. "What exactly do you have in mind?" "Think bigger," he urged, leaning in just enough so their conversation felt private amidst the cafe noise. "What if we brought in food trucks from the city? High-end baking competitions, some celebrity judges? We could turn it into a full weekend event. Her instincts screamed caution. And what's the catch? She asked, crossing her arms. He smiled, a predatory glint in his eyes. You'd simply allow me to promote my business heavily during the festival. I have the connections to draw a crowd that would dwarf any previous event. Sarah swallowed hard. The tempting vision he painted glittered brightly, but it felt tainted. She glanced around at the other patrons, imagining them enjoying the festival but not truly feeling part of it. This is a community celebration, not about selling a brand, she asserted softly. Look, Sarah, he continued, his voice dropping to a more serious tone. This town's been stuck in its ways for too long. You want change, you want excitement? Sometimes it takes shaking things up a bit, merging forces with someone who knows how to draw in the masses. His words resonated dangerously close to her fears. What did selling out truly mean in moments like this? Was the festival worth the risk she was feeling now? Why do you care so much about this festival anyway? She asked, curiosity piqued. You don't seem exactly local. He paused, the charm slipping for a brief moment. Let us just say, I see potential here. I had hopes of being part of this kind of community in my youth. But life gets complicated, he said, his voice softer now. So I want to help you bring something special to this town. She felt a twinge of almost sincerity. Could there be a genuine desire beneath all that ambition? Or was it just a ploy to expand his empire? As they wrapped up their conversation, Sarah felt a weight inside her chest. Harold's offer was indeed tempting, but it crossed the line between community spirit and commercialization. Walking away from the cafe, Sarah's thoughts raced. On one hand, there was the dream of something grand, something that could bring everyone together in spirit. On the other, there was a fear that accepting his terms could unravel everything she believed in. Later that night, sitting at her kitchen table surrounded by festival plans, Sarah picked up her phone, staring at it. The decision felt monumental, slackening her breath. Should she fight against the odds and keep the festival true to its roots, or embrace Harold's visions for a broader reach, hoping to draw others into their gathering? As she flipped the pages of her notebook, she knew this was a pivotal moment. What if Harold's help wasn't just aid, but a trap that could suffocate their newfound collective spirit? The question kept gnawing at her. Could she find a way to make the festival a real celebration of community without losing herself in the process? The sun hung low in the sky when Sarah met her best friend, Emily, at the local park the next day. A soft breeze rustled the trees, gently brushing against her skin, but a distant storm brewed inside her heart. Hey, you look like you've seen a ghost, Emily teased, her voice filled with lightness. Sarah tried to laugh, but the sound caught in her throat. Instead, she sat down on the grass, feeling the cool blades beneath her fingertips while staring at the playground where kids shouted in delight. What's wrong? Emily's tone shifted, her eyes narrowing with concern. It's the festival, Sarah began, a wave of anxiety hitting her. Harold wants to make it bigger, flashier. Big-name judges, city food trucks, more money for his business. But at what cost? Emily remained silent for a moment, processing what Sarah had said. That sounds ambitious. But it's not a bad thing if it brings more people together. Is it? It is if it means losing what the festival stands for, Sarah replied firmly. This event is about community. It's about connection. I don't want it to turn into a commercialization circus. She felt her heart pounding, the urgency of her worry spilling out. Would her vision remain intact, or would it fall victim to Harold's soaring ambition? Emily placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You've always been the heart of this festival. Remember last year? Everyone loved the way you brought everyone together. Just think about what that means. Sarah nodded, the warm memory of the festival flickering in her mind like candlelight. The smiles, the laughter, neighbors sharing recipes, and kids' joy, it all felt pure and real. What if he's right? Emily asked after a pause. What if this is your chance to make it even better? What if you let him in just a little? Maybe it wouldn't be so bad? Sarah bit her lip, weighing the possibilities. Could she really merge that sparkling vision with the roots of tradition? What if I end up compromising everything? Or what if you find a way to weave in your ideas while keeping your values at the forefront? The idea felt like a spark of hope, but uncertainty clawed at her mind. But how can I please everyone without losing myself? Listen, Emily said, her voice steady and soft. You're a force. You just have to find that balance. Trust your gut. Write down what you envision the festival to be, and then see how Harold's ideas can complement that. Sarah inhaled deeply, letting the moment settle over her. Maybe she had been focusing too much on Harold's vision instead of her own. I just don't want it to lose its heart, she whispered, vulnerability seeping in. Emily nodded, her eyes bright with understanding. Then don't let it. You're the one who loves the festival. It's up to you to fight for what matters. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows, Sarah felt a flicker of determination igniting within her. This festival wasn't just a gathering. It was a magical tapestry woven with dreams, laughter, and warmth. I'll think about it. I can't let fear dictate how this unfolds, she said, her voice gaining strength. After saying goodbye to Emily, Sarah returned home, her resolve tightening like a knot. She pulled out her notebook, flipping through pages of plans and sketches, determination thrumming in her veins. The festival could evolve, yes, but it could also stay true to its essence. She would seek a way to honor the community spirit while incorporating new ideas on her terms. But as she slammed the notebook closed, a small part of her couldn't shake the lurking doubt. Did she truly have the power to change the direction of this event? Or would Harold's influence seep in, taking over everything she cherished? With those thoughts competing for her attention, she stared at the blank page waiting for her next stroke of courage. Would she uncover the strength to redefine what the festival could be without losing sight of its heart? The day of the festival dawned bright and hopeful, the sun showering warm light over the community center as Sarah stood at the entrance, nervously adjusting the decorations. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the scent of fresh pastries mingled with laughter. All around her, families buzzed with excitement, setting up booths and arranging tables. But beneath her excitement lay a knot of nervous anticipation. Hours passed, and the center gradually filled with smiling faces. Children darted from one baking booth to another, their tiny hands clutching cupcakes, cookies, and pies. Sarah marveled at the sight. The community truly had come together. This is it. This is what we fought for, she whispered to herself, a radiant smile blooming on her face as she roamed through the crowds, exchanging warm greetings with neighbors. Each interaction felt like stitching new threads into the tapestry of their shared history. When the first contestants approached her with their baking entries, Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. People were pouring their hearts into this festival. Just then, the flurry of excitement was interrupted by the arrival of Harold. He confidently approached, a crew of cameras and reporters trailing behind him. Sarah's stomach flipped. "Looks like you've done well, Sarah," he said, a taunting smile playing on his lips. "But let us see if this is enough to impress the crowd. Did you end up taking any of my advice?" Sarah felt a rush of annoyance, but she stayed calm. "This is exactly what I wanted. Harold, an authentic representation of our community, not a commercialization of it." "Very noble," he replied smoothly, "but I promise something even bigger. My connections could elevate this entire festival." As he spoke, a group of local bakers approached, their expressions filled with pride as they lugged in decorated cakes and trays of cookies. "Look, people are excited, Harold," Sarah said, pointing to the growing lines of attendees. "This is about their passion. We've crafted this together." Deep down, Sarah grappled with the idea of Harold's influence but quickly reminded herself of the essence of the festival. It was the laughter, shared stories, and love that enveloped their community. Just as she was about to turn away, Harold leaned closer, his voice lowering conspiratorially. "Together, we can make this an annual spectacle. Think of the possibilities." But Sarah felt a flicker of clarity. What if I don't want it to be a spectacle? What if it's just enough as it is right now? She stared him down, her conviction radiating through the air. The moment crystallized into more than just a disagreement. It was a defining stand against moldy expectations. One by one, Familiar faces from the crowd turned their attention, a wave of support growing silently behind her. "Sarah," called out Clara, who had just finished arranging her booth. "You're right. This festival is about us, not some flashy gimmick." Another voice echoed, "Yeah, we've all chipped in for this." "See," Sarah said triumphantly, glancing back at Harold with newfound courage. "This is our legacy, the community together, not tied to profitability." Harold's expression shifted, uncertainty creeping in. "You'll regret this. The festival could have been monumental," he warned, but his bravado was beginning to crack under the weight of the gathered support. A louder cheer erupted from the crowd. "We're with Sarah." Empowered, Sarah felt the confines of doubt release their grip as a swell of pride rose in her chest. "We will cherish this space, Harold, with or without your help." And just like that, he retreated, the cameras clicking away as he exited the scene. In his absence, Sarah embraced the warmth of the community. People began to cheer louder. The vibrant energy soared. Her heart filled with gratitude, their shared spirit had triumphed over fear. "Let us get this festival started," Sarah shouted, her voice a rallying cry. Laughter erupted, and soon, the baking contest commenced. The smell of warm confections filled the air, and with it came a sense of unity that pulsated through the crowd. Families shared recipes, friends offered advice, and laughter echoed in the space. The bakery was alive, a sanctuary of love and connection. As the first contestants presented their creations, Sarah noticed Mrs. Thompson in the front row, beaming with pride. The festival had become not just an event, but a legacy in the making. And in that moment, surrounded by neighbors and friends, Sarah felt the weight lift from her shoulders. The heart of the bakery beat fiercely through the community, and she understood that this was always the answer. Together, as the sun sank low in the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant hues, Sarah smiled, knowing they forged a new legacy to carry into the future, one that celebrated their history while leaving room for growth. Now, here's the moment. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss more incredible stories just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than ever. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this amazing transformation, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this community spirit alive. Don't wait not even one more second. Join us in carrying our stories forward.